And action, guys. Welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Frictionless Sales Podcast. Got a treat for you, somebody a little bit different than usual because we're talking to my soul brother, my guy, Dr. Mike Hecker out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mike, how you doing, man?
Doing well, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get our good combos
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while, and so many times we've said we need to do like, dude, we need to like record our conversations. This should be a good podcast. It'd be great content. And so, kind of like with the soul of what I'm doing with my fractional consultancy, and we talk about sales and everything with this podcast, and then me personally, I think it would be a really cool um, other type of look at it. We're being in the software and technology game, but you in holistic healthcare, there still is an aspect of sales, and it is a little bit different too. I guess I don't want to say different, but there's a new shade of color in terms of like the realm in which that you work. So why don't we start here? Let's talk a little bit about you, your business, and who do you help?
Yeah, so I'm a chiropractor,
Hmm.
and who I help specifically is people who are in pain, as well at I would say physical pain, as well as the pain associated with having a limited lifestyle, right? So I'll help people with like gut issues and the
Hmm.
pain of I got to eat off a special menu, go to special restaurants. I got to be mindful of what I put in my body or am I paid for it. Limitations of honestly even things like anxiety I'll work with, and people can't live their life. They say no to events and things they like to do, pass about opportunities, and so I would say like chronic pain and chronic illness, I guess to say it simply.
Right. Okay, okay, right. And so when you are, how do you typically get your clients? Or your patients rather, not clients.
Yeah. So right now it's mostly word of mouth. In the near future, I'm going to be getting back doing content online. I kind
Hmm.
of pulled back because I wanted to just be really precise and not just kind of talk about a lot of random things, because I do talk about a wide breadth of things ranging from physical healthy habits like eating and working out, but also the mental and emotional ones, because we know stress and mental health affects your physical health and they work both ways. So I'm kind of all over the board, and I wanted to get everything like in alignment. No chiropractic pun intended, maybe there is. I
Like
wanted
it.
to make sure everything was in alignment and congruent and made sense, because they talk about like mind, body, and spirit. I don't see those as totally separate. I see them as like a gradient, one feeding into the next. So I want to try to make everything I do to be congruent with that.
Right, right. Now keeping up with like the theme, even though we're gonna jump off a lot of different segues, I want to kind of get a feel about, when you have somebody gets a referral, you typically get your patient's word of mouth. And obviously, you do have your dues, your fees for services. Do you ever run into is there any friction that you run into about what your cost is or getting people to actually start doing care with you or continuing care?
Sure, but I think most of that friction that I might run into
Hmm.
is is more of a reflection, not on the actual number. I think it's in maybe expectation or the perspective of like what they're searching for and why they're searching for it.
Okay.
Because if they come in thinking, "Oh, I just want to get my back cracked," it's kind of fair to be like, "All right, 50, 60, $70. Simple, in and out, that kind of thing." But if
Mhm.
somebody's saying like, "Dude, I have daily headaches or monthly headache, weekly headaches, and like it's affecting my life. Like when I get them, I have to, go home, shut the door, can't do anything. I'm down and out for a couple of days." Now it's more than just let me get it cracked. Now it's like, dude, this is really affecting my life. And so if through my process of talking to them, can get them to the level of like, this is really affecting your life. It's not just pop a pill. Like this is really affecting your life, and it's a sign of things potentially getting worse because something's causing it. So if we can get to that understanding, if it really is affecting them that way, then $60 is not even in the conversation. Now it's like, what do I have to do to get rid of this? So,
Hmm.
whatever that price might be, um, whether it's $1,000, $2,000, 5,000, I don't charge that, but
Yeah.
people would pay that who have daily headaches. And there's a lot of people that do say,
Hmm.
here's this money, I'll give it to you if you promise to fix it, and I'll be happy for this price. So I think that's going to be the biggest reflection for sure.
Okay. Right on. So I know this because we've been connected for many years now, at least going on like 8, 9 years, something like that. And one thing I love about the way that you have a very different approach to chiropractic care. Like you said, a lot of people think, even I did when I first met you, all right, this guy cracks backs, he puts you in a or I'd use a better word, he puts you into alignment. And then so doing some work with you personally, and then a lot of our conversations, you got something very, very different. That's why I really wanted to have you on this because hey, everybody needs to hear this shit, bro. Tell me a little bit of how you're different than a lot of the chiropractors then that you think, or when the average person thinks chiropractor, this is what they do. I know what chiropractor does, but you have some different ideologies and
Yeah.
methodologies. Let's start to talk about that. And let's just let it flow.
Okay, so the way I see myself as being different
Mhm.
is some people will treat, and by the way, this is okay. All right, I'm gonna position how I do things in a certain way, but I don't think there's any right or wrong way. Let me just say it this way, so I don't hurt feelings.
Okay.
If you're looking for this, then this is great, and if you're looking for this is really good too. But just don't kind of confuse the two. And
Correct.
so, a lot of people will go into a chiropractor saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna lay down, you crack my back, fix my problems, and then I'm out." Cool. That form of chiropractic's fine. I see that as like no different than here's a supplement, here's a medication, here's a
Mhm.
massage. It's like something to make you feel better for a short period of time. And it's amazing because it does. There's little to no negative side effects and only positive side effects or effects. But the way I really try to do it, it's kind of funny to say this way, but I'm like constantly trying to put myself out of business because I want to teach you. Like I want you come into my place, you have a health issue, pain or other. Sure, I want to help you to fix it physically, but like I want to spend more time on saying, what did you do to cause this?
Ooh.
Because I bet only 10% of the reason why people have any kind of pain or issues, 10% is physical accidents. People think it's like the majority. It's not. I can promise
Really?
you, definitely not. It is going to be more of a reflection of stress and lifestyle. If I had to get percentages, well, there is some science to support this, but I bet 10% is physical accidents. Because how often do you really fall off a roof or get hit by a car? And
Right.
so I want to really say, all right, we'll fix you up on the table. But I want to spend the majority of my time talking to you about what's your lifestyle look like?
Hmm.
What do your stress levels look like? And I want to find solutions that don't require payments, meaning like, what pill do you have to buy to to work out more or to eat better, to, you know, change your perspective on your job or your partner or whatever. Because if that's causing the stress, no pill is really going to be able to fix that. That's just a temporary little fix. So the thing that I'm really fighting against, I guess you could say, is, and again, I'm happy there's people doing this, but I don't want to just do kind of like, the expression, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
I kind of only want to give people a fish if they're also willing to be taught how to fish. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to teach people what you need to know, the laws around health, and then how to apply them so you don't need guys like me. Now you're not going to be perfect, so you're still probably going to need little checkups, tune-ups every once in a while. But that's really what
Mhm.
I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bring back self accountability for our own health, and I'm your coach. I'm your Sherpa on the mountain to say, here's the path. It might not be easy, might be a little winding, but here's the path. I'll walk with you, but I need you to walk too. I can't walk for you.
Right. What are How about let's jump at like some stories? Like what's something that you can think of recently that will kind of illustrate your method, or maybe a patient that you've worked with? Because I would imagine kind of like we as people, we actually add a lot more friction to our own lives than we even recognize. Like that's I was really when I was pondering, like, what's the name of my podcast and what am I really soul of what I want to do? I'm like frictionless sales for frictionless life. I want to eventually, as we develop this, figure out a way to say, okay, well, we reduce friction in our sales processes or our business processes, but then honestly, the mentality or the thought process behind how we're doing that in our business that can be transferred to our life. Like you've heard the anecdote, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So that's one part of where I had the idea for us to get on here and jam is because I guess a lot of the ailments that we have, 90% of the reasons that they'll come to a healer like yourself is okay, well, there's enough friction in my life that's affecting my life, and I want to reduce that. I want to lube it up, if you will. Last guy I was having on, I was doing an episode earlier. I was in an episode earlier with a guy that runs a media company, and he brought it to the Diddy stuff, and
Yeah.
he kept bringing it up, loop it up. It's just kind of funny. So, like, what are some things we can illustrate, or a story, or a recent patient that you could recall? The friction that they have in their life, and how you lead them to smooth that out and go to their own path of healing, if you will.
hmm So um, I probably answer this a couple different ways, but one of the ways
Sure.
is there are certain things that I teach that I say this to be funny, but also it's 100% truthful. It's so simple, nobody wants to do it. So a lot of the times, your biggest thing, like the highest ROI activities, the things you're going to get the most results from, a lot of times it's not adding something new into your life, doing something new. It's taking away something bad. That's
Oh,
well, for
shit.
sure you're going to see. Like you probably don't need to. What's the next best supplement? What's the next best? Be like, stop drinking a pint of whiskey every night. Well, you hate your job, and it's giving you an ulcer and high blood pressure, and just leave the job. Now I know easier said than done, but trying to express
Yeah.
this idea of we're always looking to add things, this magic bullet. It's like just remove the thing because your default state to your body is healthy. The default state of your mind is happy. The default state of your spirit is loving. So the first one we can all agree on for sure. Default state of your body is healthy. So I see it like a tennis ball should be floating on the top of the water. But if it's
Right.
not, something's actively holding it down, pulling it down. So
Mhm.
that's the way I see health is like what your body's trying to heal so hard. And we're constantly messing it up. We're constantly fighting the body, putting bad food in there, adding too much stress, not getting enough rest, like these kind of things. So with that said, one of the best thing that I teach people, bar none, this is the best activity people have done. They came back and they say, this really works. This got rid of my chronic neck pain, chronic headaches, chronic arm falling asleep at night. When we do in the low back, getting rid of chronic back pain, it's wild. Here's what it is. It's not stretching. Stretching is okay, but I don't even talk about stretching much anymore because a muscle's tight for a reason. It's not an accident.
Yes.
I find a lot of times it's because the joints aren't moving. But if we can get the joints moving, the muscles don't have a reason to be tight. To be clear, stretching is a good activity to do. Do it if you want, no problem. So one of the things that I've been teaching a lot of people lately is to move every joint in your body every day in every way and get that done in 5 minutes or less, or 5 to 10 minutes. Because
Mhm.
longer than that, if you're in a bad mood or in a rush, you're not going to do it. And if you can't do it, it's not going to make your life better. So everything I teach has to be quick and easy and to the point. So literally this simple, where I'm teaching people just head forward and back until you feel a little fatigue or tiredness in the muscle. Then you take it side to side, side to side. How many times? Just until fatigue. It's different for everybody. If you're
Mhm.
90 versus 9, the number's going to be different. but I'm not going to pull out a random number from the sky. So it's like around 10 though. And then rotation,
like
rotation, right? So just doing that every single day, dramatic. People come back almost angry. They're like, that's all it took? Neck pain, wild. But then it
yeah.
goes to show you how little people are actually moving their freaking body. They think they are,
Mhm.
maybe, but a lot of us, we're not at all. So that's the first one that pops in mind. I probably got many more, but that's number one.
All right. That's cool. 2. So you said the first thing is they're not moving, so like the one of the 3 bullet points you brought up is healthy body. Like your default state is healthy.
Mhm.
And then 2, where would we go from there?
So two is that where I said that natural state of your mind is happy.
Okay.
Okay. So if that was my 2, I see that the same way. Um, if I'm not happy currently, because right now
Uh-huh.
I'm healthy, I'm looking around, there's no problems. Why am I not as happy as a baby? Because I'm holding things in me, memories and judgments and beliefs and the way I'm perceiving the world and interpreting what's happening and using my reasoning faculties in a way that makes me feel unhappy. And again, so how do we get happy? Well, most people, we try to get happy by layering on top of that food or vacations or drug, sex, and rock and roll or
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh
or
shit.
pills. So instead, I want to remove the beliefs or perspectives that's making
Hmm.
me not happy. And that's going to directly swing back into your physical health too. So that'd be number 2. Now, I only can get into that to certain degrees in my office because I'm not trying to do mental health. But
Right, of course.
if that's what's causing your physical illness, we got to adjust that. And by the way, everybody knows, eat the salad, not the donut. But we choose the donut, don't we? It's not an
Always.
intellectual problem. That's an emotional problem because we feel not good inside. So we try to layer on top of that something to make me feel better. So if we can start to remove some of that, then even our physical habits will stay in alignment, in my opinion.
That is awesome, man. You're giving me so much. But I'm not going to jump in before we get to that number 3. Because I see a good segue into where this is just going to free flow in the way that we always talk on the phone.
Sure.
3. So we went to our default state in the body is healthy. Our default state in the mind is happy. And 3.
The default state of the spirit should be loving. Now, when I say spirit, I just mean like the real you on the inside. You know,
uh,
I'm the one telling my hand to do this. I'm the one choosing what directions my thoughts should go. So that means I'm not my mind, I'm not my body. Well, what's left? The spirit, the soul, the self, the
mhm,
real me, the inner me. The little me, the me that it's the same me that looks out at the mirror when I was 9 years old versus 36. I look physically different, but the same
hmm,
self on the inside.
yeah.
And so, with this, I see this mostly as, to not get too ethereal, is the ideas that where our attention is placed and the ideas that we're accepting to be true and identifying with, because then
Hmm.
that's, if that's constructive and loving, we're going to naturally have constructive and loving emotions and thoughts. And then the actions, because our actions come from our thoughts come from our emotions, and our emotions comes from our perspective, aka our beliefs, our paradigms, things like that. And so I
Yeah.
think it starts, the spiritual part is looking at, I can place my attention on anything. I want to make sure it's on a positive way to view everything that's happening, because everything's going to flow from there and create my life. So I want to, and at times it's useful to know metaphysical laws, like the law of rhythm. We all kind of see rhythm playing in its role and different laws like that. So it's good to know that so that we can intelligently choose better ideas. And then that's going to naturally filter through into your mind and into your body.
All right. That's dope. That's dope. It's funny as I'm hearing you, and now I'm realizing how valuable you don't really realize what you can get until you're already in it. I was like, I had no idea that. Well, I had the first idea that maybe, all right, dude, this is different. This guy's not in tech sales, he's not in this, but there's a sales to everything. But then when we're getting underneath the surface, there's so much that can be learned. Like, for example, as a fractional sales consultant, I'll go in and I'll help, help an entrepreneur, I'll help a company with their sales process, and sometimes I go in and I'm training their reps. And I'm thinking in terms of our traditional stuff when sales trainers come in, they're always adding the new script, the new objection handling scripts, or responses and stuff like that. And now I'm already sparking an idea like, okay, well, let's say there's physiology, things that will affect how you are in selling and whether you want to improve or stay the same. You get your physiology, which I guess your tonality and how you speak. They want to give you extra reps and add on to things, or how you feel about it. And I was like, wow, what if my approach to training people actually came from what I just learned with Mike here? Like, what if the problem with your pitch is not that you need to add better words or something, but you need to take out a belief that I'm about to get hung up on? What if I need to take out my filler words when I am trying to find the next thing? And maybe my ums and ahs and you knows are distracting from the pitch. And I don't really need better words or more knowledge. I just need to slow down and take some things out.
I mean, all the
Or,
studies show the best salesmen talk less. The people that talk
mhm.
more sell less, right?
Oh.
And look, like, so they say 80% of what you say is not coming out your mouth. Anybody can
Hmm.
read a script. You know this as good as anybody else. You give the same script to two different people, very different outcomes. Tonality is going to
Right.
be different. Body posture is going to be different. Having the ability to be empathetic and to understand their situation that they're in and to be able to put yourself into their life
Hmm.
and maybe even help them see what they don't see, right? So it's like, sometimes I'll see like spirit, emotions, mind, body as like top down, but sometimes I see it as inside out. So it's like, so let's start spiritual as an idea of like this thing that we're trying to sell somebody. First off, like we all know this, if you need to believe it. You need to really, for real, believe it. And if there's
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to get one over on you, I'm trying to manipulate you, I'm trying to sell something I don't believe in, that will be felt. That's going to come through
Mhm.
mirror neurons. You're going to be able to feel it in you. You're going to come through your body posture, come through your tonality, come through the depth of your voice, all of that. So it's like starting spiritual, starting with the idea, is this something they really need? Is this something I really believe in? And even if you could just get that really solid, it almost doesn't matter what you say because they
Right.
feel it. And then you can really connect with the person, be like, now, does this person really need this awesome thing that I sell? They really need it. And that's like the discovery process. That's, rapport is naturally being built because if I'm passionate about it and I care about you, there's just a natural
Hmm.
agreement. You're going to be fascinated by my interest in it and my belief in it. That's going to open up certain trap doors into your subconscious mind. Maybe that's a separate talk, or maybe that's this talk actually.
It's definitely this talk.
Uh, Yeah, so it's like it all has to start from there. So 100%. But I really like your where you caught of like removing the ums, removing talking too much, removing that for sure. Like
Hmm.
we want to
And
add.
even beliefs. I think I'd like to start from the back. So now, do you remember? All right, so 1997, Tiger Woods started and proved that he's the greatest golfer in the world at that time. Maybe somebody's better now. He's still the GOAT to most people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And one thing that he did that was very avant-garde was that every great golfer that wrote a book, they always start from the tee box on down to the green. What Tiger Woods did was he actually went backwards from the green, from putting. Because actually, if you think about it, um, the actual like points and how you get through is actually by getting the hole in the cup, not how far you drive. So he started it with a putting, and I'm thinking in terms of like, all right, well, Mike gave me these great things that we'll focus on today, in your body and your mind and then spirit. Imagine if we go backwards, like spirit to mind, and then the body follows. That might be a good way for even people who are, whether you are in healthcare like you are, whether you're in traditional sales, door to door, whatever, there's some type of selling aspect, maybe even relationships too. maybe it's not so much what in the physical, but it's deeper. I mean, I guess would how probably be like equivalent to point three. Like for example, I've actually noticed this once. I've been able to train and help people, whether I'm working in the same company for them or they're a client. Their issue with improving from where they are and to where they're trying to be is not really in what they do, it's in what they believe. And my own self too. Even being an 11-year veteran in this, I'm still developing and changing. And I think after I've done all the programs, I've studied under people, I've done the coaching, the real hiccups are really in the spirit, the me, you know. Um, Imposter syndrome is a real thing, man. I've gone through some stuff that where like it really made me second guess, not second guess my ability, but second guess myself, even as a sales professional. You know, a lot of things happen out of our control, and we're so me centric as humans.
Yeah.
You know, and what was gotten a lot of people out of their own way in every industry is really how they see themselves, like the me, like you said, like the spirit is like the self, the true self. You know, what do you think?
For
Like,
I couldn't agree more. It's like, I don't know exactly how I want to say this, but it's like you can't out earn your self image. It just doesn't work.
wow, you can't out earn your self image.
It just can't.
Oh,
You can't. Even if you temporarily accidentally do, you're losing it. You're
dude,
losing it.
that's content. That's content right there.
Like, I don't care how you dice, chop it up. Doesn't
Mhm,
it, like, you're gonna lose it. You know, there's Jim Rohn, amazing guy back in the day.
mhm.
He said this.
Of course,
Of
that guy.
course. He said, if you get $1 million, what's the very first thing you should do? Become a millionaire. And I said, well, I'm a millionaire when I get $1 million. No, you're not. You're probably a broke person who happens to have
A
temporarily
million
$1 million.
dollars.
He's like, you have to get that internal
Mhm,
because there's so many. I mean, Psycho Cybernetics talks about this and many other books, but they talk about like there's a set point of your belief of what you. We're going to use money, but you could apply this to your love life, to your health, to everything. Now, let's say I'm a person who makes $5,000 a month, and there's an
mhm,
upper and a lower point. And so it's like if for whatever reason your income gets down to like 1,000 a month, you're gonna like something's gonna turn on, and you're like, I need to make money, spend less, get out there, more cold calls, more whatever, so that I can get back up to this. But if for some reason you start making $10,000 a month, your bills are gonna go up, and or you're gonna find a way to lose it. Be like, you know what? I deserve a vacation. You know what? I'm gonna spend more. You know what? And 10 times out of 10, you're gonna get back down to that set point. So I don't know. Sam Ovens one time said, he's like, you don't get your desires, you get your lowest expectations. And so it's like, that's like resetting your internal set point of what you believe you deserve. And to be able to get that so deep inside you, like, I'm not accepting anything less. Like, this is it, period. Now it's just about what's going to happen.
mhm. I love that. Dude, this is I'm getting so much from this, and I'm over here interviewing you. I'm just like, damn, look at I'm thinking about the different things that I've got in my life and my endeavors that I'm working on right now, and then things that I've you kind of sometimes when we think it's an L, we kind of reflect what went wrong here. And then the way that I've done, like for example, let's just get real with it because podcasts are for realness, and people want real. Like I've had two layoffs from corporate companies in the last 2 years, stuff that didn't even make sense to me. And I got to thinking, what went wrong? What did I do or what did I not do? And even if I even nailed down what did I do or what did I not do that could possibly lead to this, even if it may or may not be true, you say you can't out earn your self image. Possibly there could be a self image that leads to what you do. Because, for example, if you become a millionaire, there are things that you do that millionaires do, and there are things that you would not do because a millionaire would not do those. And this is just like, wow, man. I'm here thinking we're creating some good content. We're having our well, our normal conversations go like this. I'll be like
Yeah.
super real.
Yeah.
And I learn a fuckload from you all the time, every time we talk. So this is really exciting. It's a lot of fun because I wouldn't even imagine I could. I guess because I set the table this way, so much of almost everything that you're saying I can relate directly to. Point of this podcast, what I do for work, what I do for life, basically, you know?
You know, one of the things that kind of jot, and it can be useful, that you mentioned of like, removing friction, and most of that friction is internal.
Mm-hmm.
My own me slowing me down, me not believing in me not loving me not all of that me stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so in those cases, we want to change our internal self-image or change that belief, perspective, concept about me that is currently holding me where I'm at and not letting me get to the next version that I'm trying to become of me, whether that's this version of Michael that's earning whatever per month more, or even helping a client, patient, get from their unhealthy version to their healthy version. And so those are typically almost always personal choices. Mental, emotional, physical. So outside of like a car accident, which you might not be able to control, this is kind of self-induced, which is great to hear because that means you can do something about it.
You could do something about it, yeah.
And so one of the things that you can kind of think about is like, all right, well, I got this thing inside me that is making my set point here. I want it to be higher. I want to be making more or healthier. How can I change that? Many different ways. But one of the things is we're holding a current belief that makes sense for me to be where I'm at. So I kind of want to figure that out. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Here's a couple questions you could ask. For me to be experiencing what I'm currently experiencing, what must I believe to be true about myself and life? The
Could you
second
say that
question
before? Absolutely.
you could ask is, if I did get what I say I want, what am I afraid might happen? For example, so we can dive into both if we want to, but
Yeah,
for
yeah.
example, if I became a millionaire, let's say I'm not a millionaire, I'm not. Let's say I become one. I'm not sure that I do, but hypothetically, if I became a millionaire, I might not have as much free time as I want. I maybe it's like I'm gonna have to hire so many people, and it's gonna be a pain in the butt and a huge headache. I'm not gonna be, you can start going through the list of like I'm gonna lose certain things that I value if I become a millionaire. If I actually analyze it, some of those things may be true, may not be true, might be true but not relevant to me anymore. So it's kind of like, is it worth it? Because these things are in us. It's setting our set point, our belief, and then it's reflecting in our actions and thoughts.
Right.
So it's like uncovering what some of these internal subtle things are and then be able to change them. Or another way you could look at it is like, what's the benefits and the drawbacks of my current situation? And then what's the benefits and drawbacks of the situation I say I want? And then you can kind of look at that. Hey, is it worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But it's like, we got to get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, this will be a reoccurring problem in your life.
Dude, you could totally just get online and teach this shit. I think you are missing out on a whole other leg of the business.
I
I mean, I know it's hard to be a chiropractor, but you can't really like, adjust me via
well,
via Riverside.
first off, you don't know that.
Ah.
Remote healing is a thing.
Oh yeah? Tell me about it.
Well, distance healing we can do for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
One, energy's energy; it's moving. You're not. I call you on the phone. Energy beams going places. You get it. We're not in
Mm-hmm.
the same room, but it looks like it, right? Energy is being transferred. In addition to that, 90%, I'm going to say, give or take, 90% of the health issues in our body are going to be a reflection of our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs. And so because that's what stress is. Did you know, scientific, check this out if you want, 75 to 90% of all office visits to physicians is due to stress.
Even if there's something else clinical,
Sure, but
they're
like
related to.
25 to 10%, so it's something else. But 80 to 90%, let's say, get stressed. Now, what happens? How does that work? Well, if you're stressed, haven't you ever noticed you get tense? Couldn't
Yeah,
that
I've
cause,
been talking with you. I've been readjusting myself.
yeah, neck and back pain? Sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't stress affect people's gut? Run to the bathroom with diarrhea, IBS, gut issues. Doesn't stress affect your physical habits? Does it affect blood pressure? Does it affect, blood flow and all of this stuff? Yeah. It's disrupting the
Yeah.
organs in the body, putting you in stress mode, sympathetic dominant mode. All your organs are functioning in more spastic manner. That over time will lead to chronic illness. Um, okay, I was like, where do I go with that? Yeah,
So
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 remote healing.
so
So even
explain to remote healing.
yeah, even with you know, one, I'm just God's doing all the healing, right?
Yeah.
So, but He needs to be invited to do some of the healing too, right? And so I think that's where the free will comes into play. So I help to kind of open up the gates, and God's probably like appreciate it, and I can heal my son over here or daughter.
Yeah.
Um, but we can also conversationally start to pull out, remove the thoughts, beliefs, perspectives that's causing the physical dysfunction in the body. But we can also just do energetic healing distantly. And I've done it many times. Many times.
Yeah.
I prefer to do in person, but I've done it through Zoom.
Yeah, I remember. We we tried this out. Well, I took a dive in there. I remember a bit of the talk track and exercises that you put me through
Mm-hmm.
for that. I remember the very first time. I remember the very, very first time. We're going longer than I usually do, but fuck it, man. I remember the very first time I experienced your whole thing. We were all the whole salsa crew. So actually, to everybody watching, we know each other from the dance game and everything. Bodies in motion to music. I mean, it's the most energetic, healing thing. It brings people together. And I want to say it was the Orlando Salsa Congress. We were all piled up in the hotels. This is years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I want to say. And you did an adjustment for me. And I remember I knocked the fuck out on that bed afterwards. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was because we were drinking at the pool all day, but also I think a lot of what was happening in like my neck and my back from, I mean, stressing on our bodies, training and rehearsing and sleeping all weird because we're piled up six to a room. A whole lot of that stuff released in my body from that
I mean, a
that
lot of
adjustment.
times our body's so tense and like our nervous system's in fight or flight mode that an
Hmm.
adjustment will help, like take the foot off the gas.
Hmm.
People knock out all the time after.
Yeah. Anybody like go to like just pass right out on your table?
I've had people fall asleep on the table, yeah,
Yeah.
where I'm like, all right, hey,
Hey,
time to
hey.
jump.
That's good.
I've also
That's
had
good.
constipated people. They're like, that adjustment worked. Where's your bathroom?
Nice. I've always loved that, man, because of how, our modern society, we're so tuned into medicine having to be something physical. And and for people to get that pleasant surprise that something holistic and energetic can, like you mentioned, whoa, it was that easy? That's what I've been doing the whole time.
Yeah.
People getting that realization, that's pretty dope. That's kind of like how I kind of relate. And you can relate to this with dancing. A lot of emotional things that lead to the physical things that people do. I mean, I think you know this because you've taught some people in the past too. Just getting their bodies moving and enjoying music again is such a great form of therapy. So dare I say healing?
For sure, because a lot of you know our body and our life is a reflection of our inner world. Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, and so, but you can also use the outer to influence the inner. Your
Oh,
mood affects your
really?
posture, but your posture also affects your mood. It works both ways. One of the things that
Mm.
dance can be great with, especially a form of dance like salsa, that is structured enough, yet also leaves room for freestyle. Because certain things, in my experience, I was born white. I wasn't born with rhythm. And they were like, just go out there freestyle. I'm like, huh?
Huh?
Whereas salsa, kind of, there's place to put your hands, but then you can add in your own little flow and do whatever you got to do. the ability to use the physical movement and have those little windows of freestyle and self-expression will then reflect, in my own experience and others, will reflect in your own mental and internal thing of like, I feel more confident dance floor. Now I'm maybe more confident to talk to this random person, walking down the street, or my boss or something like that. I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure reflect that way, haven't you?
Countless times, yeah. I mean, I've even seen people's relationship dynamic change in just a few lessons or even a single lesson. Something goes off. Like I remember, I tell this story a lot. This is a couple that I taught in New Orleans for their wedding. And it was a and they did bicker a little bit because they kind of had a very opposite dynamic. The wife, she is a neurosurgeon, and the husband was is a musician, directed a band. So obviously you could tell their power dynamic was a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think because of how their day-to-day life was, I think they both just accepted this is just what it is and how it is. And then they get in the dance floor, and I'm teaching, the lead follow relationship. And I remember I finally taught the guy, I'm gonna leave their names out, how to properly position himself to dip her. And I remember seeing like a moment, she felt like she didn't have to make all the decisions. She
Yeah.
didn't have to hold the whole thing up. She
Mm-hmm.
stopped the lesson and broke into tears. Like it was tears of release, kind of like when you get an adjustment. They've been in pain for so long, and that thing just releases, and then a lot of emotion come out with it. I mean, one of the most rewarding times in like what 20 years teaching dance. And I really hope to have more stories like that in my, training people in sales. I've been more of a producer myself, and training is secondary in a company, but I really want those stories too. So, um, yeah, dude, just dances are that'll be the next thing, next big training. All right, guys, we're getting on the floor right now, and I bet it can
Before you
connect
move your
some
mouth, you
dots.
got to move your body.
Yeah, dude, actually, because I think that being able to publicly speak better, or I'm using really weird syntax, developing a knack for public speaking or being a great orator really wasn't something I focused on, but I think it really started to flow from teaching groups and being an MC on stage, because moving the body. I mean, I feel like I'm even speaking a little bit differently now, just even our conversation. Now I started moving a bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What Tony Robbins says, emotion comes from motion. So if we're sitting on a phone all day, of course you're not really going to get a lot of emotion and a
You
lot of
said
stuff
that.
will
You
get
said
kind
it
of.
earlier today. You said the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. That's true. This
Mm,
stuff too. If I'm really stuck up emotionally, mentally, it's going to come through my physical posture. It's going to come through my tone. It's going to come through my dancing.
mhm.
All these things work. They're all an expression of this stuff. And, that's why either my new clinic or my new online coaching community, when I get that going, will be called Omni Align. Because I'm like, once you kind of learn how to you want to get everything into alignment so that it can flow without friction. Um, but it's like, it's not always necessarily about like changing 10 different things. Sometimes just changing that one core thing, and then it can express itself in all of these different areas or aspects of your life. Because they're a reflection of you. So if I change you or me internally, it's going to naturally, automatically, and effortlessly express in these different areas because I am doing those things.
Right. Nice, nice. Dude, I love these. Hey, energy's always moving, man. And I'm just astounded. I don't even have the words how the dots that we're connecting from, creating this new podcast to like the subject matter and how two completely unrelated things can feed into one another.
That's my favorite.
It's
Connecting two
yeah,
unconnected things.
yeah. Well, I mean, I took an extra 15 minutes from you with from what the time that we scheduled. So right now, I like to say, like, how can everybody who's watching, how can we find you? How can we start working with you? Where are you?
Yeah, so I
Is
think the most reliable place to find me right now, at least social media wise, is going to be on Instagram. I'm sure I
Mhm.
do have a Facebook, I do have a TikTok, but I just find myself I tend to be on Instagram a little bit more. But my handle, I think it's handle, is Dr. Mike the Healer. So Dr. Yeah.
I'm gonna like put it on the screen and be like, look down here, Dr. Mike.
Yep. I can make the healer.
I don't know how to edit shit like that.
You guys will find me. If you're supposed to find me, you'll find me. Otherwise, what's my website? drmichaelhecker.com. So DR and then my name. You can see down here probably.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Feel free, reach out to me, follow me, subscribe, whatever people do these days.
Whatever people do these days.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're not in Milwaukee, remote healing is a thing. So let's remove some of these things. I get great takeaways, definitely. Everything from your mind, body, and spirit. And sometimes to really reduce friction is not to add something better, but taking things out. And that kind of makes sense when I say it out loud. Reducing friction means taking things out that are creating the friction.
Yeah,
And
I love that. Yep.
you gave me some
You're
great
exactly
ideas
right.
for a newsletter or blog on how this comes directly from Dr. Mike the Healer. I like it.
Yeah, I don't take credit for anything.
I'm
Came maybe from these books
gonna take
behind
credit
me
for
or
this
from
too,
up above, wherever it is. But I'm
wherever
happy
it
to pass
is.
it through.
It's omnipresent. It's everywhere.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, this episode is brought to you by Lifecycle Sales HQ and Brad Mack Fractional Sales Consulting. Guys, you can see me here on LinkedIn. All of my socials are going to be down below. Whether you need help with your scripts, you need KPIs to be developed, you need your whole sales process reworked, or even come in as a contract rep for your company, you guys can connect with me here. Thank you guys for watching. Dr. Mike, thank you for being here. It was an awesome time to chat with you, brother.
Appreciate it, brother. Love you.
My brother in Christ.